Good morning and a warm welcome. Holly Shields here for Kalkine TV, reporting to you live from Sydney, and you're watching the Global Markets Roundup. Let's dive into some key highlights and happenings from yesterday, starting with the US market. Well, the US dollar climbed to a 16-month high on Monday, while American stocks slipped as well, trading after a strong opening. Lingering concerns about global growth amid signs of rising inflation were a boon to safe havens in a cautious trading on Monday, with the US dollar hitting a 16-month high against a basket of competing currencies and the US Treasury yields also ticking upwards. The MSCI's World Equity Index, which tracks shares in 45 nations, was up at just 0.05%. Meanwhile, benchmark US indices closed flat on Monday, November 15, ahead of a big retail earnings week and a positive global economic outlook, increasing the bullish influence on the market. The S&P 500 closed flat, while the Dow Jones fell 0.04%. All this as the NASDAQ composite fell 0.04 similarly, and the small cap Russell 2000 was down 0.61. Investors were upbeat despite high inflation, and 30-year and the 10-year Treasury bond yields surging more than 2.5% created unease for some growth stock investors. But overall, the market remained optimistic ahead of the big retail earnings, and Walmart, Target, Home Depot and Macy's are expected to report their quarterly results this week. On top of that, positive economic data from China raised hopes of a global economic revival. The country's industrial output and retail sales rose more than analyst expectations in the month of October. And energy, utilities and consumer staples stocks were the top gainers on the S&P 500, whereas basic materials, healthcare and tech stocks retreated. 8 of the 11 sectors stayed in the green territory. With that said, it's time now for a short break, but stay tuned because around the corner I'll be back with UK and Australian market updates. Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
where the property market is headed next,
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly,
apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements
with Kalkine TV. Welcome back to the Global Markets Roundup. European shares hit another record peak on Monday after comments from the European Central Bank chief Christine Lagarde helped beat back bets of tighter monetary policy, while a fall in the miners kept gains at bay. The continent-wide Stoxx 600 index rose 0.4%, while Germany's DAX index gained 0.3%, as both gauges hit a new record high. And London markets struggled to reach the positive territory, with the headline index FTSE 100 treading water as investors prepare to witness the potential after effects of a series of key data points to ascertain the extent of recovery in the months following the July to September quarter. The domestic benchmark FTSE 100 dropped 0.14%, whereas the mid-cap barometer FTSE 250 gained 0.30%. A gain of little more than 1% in the shares of AstraZeneca helped the benchmark index to offset some losses after the market cap leader crashed approximately 7% on Friday last week, following the subdued profit outlook for the rest of the year. And in the East, Japanese shares ended higher on Monday, with tech stocks leading the gains, as they took cues from Wall Street's strong finish last week, which offset concerns about subdued domestic growth data. The Nikkei share average advanced 0.56%, while the broader topics rose 0.39%. And Chinese stocks closed lower on Monday after data showed property investment and sales growth continued to slow, weighing on the economic outlook. Trading on China's Beijing Stock Exchange started with new shares surging as much as sixfold, Blue chip CS 1300 index fell 0.1%, while the Shanghai Composite Index lost 0.2% similarly. And South Korea's shares ended 1% higher on Monday, boosted by semiconductor and biopharmaceutical firms, as well as upbeat Chinese economic data, which lifted investor sentiment. The benchmark Kospi closed up 1.03% after having gained 1.18 to its highest level since the 4th of November earlier in the session. And back home, the ASX 200 posted a 0.4% gain yesterday. A number of companies, including Mirvac Group and Pilbara Minerals, are scheduled to hold their annual general meetings today. Meanwhile, in the US, US Treasury yields were little changed on the day of Monday as investors weighed concerns about the growing rate of COVID-19 infections against new Treasury supply this week and the likely effects of the Federal Reserve reducing its bond purchases. Benchmark 10-year yields were last at 1.60% and are up from a one-month low of 1.42 last Tuesday. Germany's 10-year yield, the benchmark for the bloc, was up 0.24%, and the 10-year yield of Japanese bonds fell 0.065%. On the other hand, the dollar climbed to a 16-month high. The index hit 95.420 on Monday, its highest since July of 2020, and was last up 0.3%. Meanwhile, oil prices slipped to a one-week low yesterday on expectations that supplies will increase. Brent futures fell 0.9%, and West Texas Intermediate crude fell an identical 0.9%. Meanwhile, gold futures hit a 5-month high on Monday as inflation worries burnished the safe haven metal's appeal, even as the dollar and US bond yields strengthened. Spot gold was up 0.1%, and the benchmark iron ore futures on the Dalian Commodity Exchange for January delivery ended 2.5% lower. Well, that's all for now on the Global Markets Roundup, but keep watching Kalkine TV because we have many more market updates lined up for you today. Holly Shield signing off.